The Tennessee Volunteers football team is in really, really good shape. It is a healthy program because it checks the majority of those boxes of the fundamental five. What is the fundamental five, and why is it so important now and in the future for Josh Heupel's club? I'm going to tell you all that coming up here on your Tuesday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it. This is Locked On Vols, and I'm your host, Eric Kane. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me here today. Making Locked On Vols your first listen each and every day. Subscribing to Locked On Vols, that YouTube channel. Let's continue to grow. We kind of had a little standstill here. Need to get back up on that upward trajectory. That's Locked On Vols on the YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys for doing all that. Rate me 5 stars and subscribing wherever you find your podcast. Going to be a fun show today. I'm really, really excited about it. We'll start backwards and work our way to the front. Segment 3, we'll do a little Twitter Tuesday exercise. I'll post a couple different questions for you guys, and some of you guys send in some questions and some answers to those questions. So I'm going to get to those in segment 3. But the first 2 segments, we're going to do the fundamental 5. Really excited about this. Shout out Brandon Olson, host of Locked On Gators, and he's filling in for Zach Blackerby while he's on paternity leave. Shout out Zach Blackerby having a beautiful little baby girl, so that is awesome stuff there. But you got Brandon that's filling in for Zach, and he sent over some topic ideas. And I'm proud of myself. I've been doing this long enough. I feel like I have a general idea what you guys want to know and listen to and what makes a good topic. But whenever somebody sends some help, and heck yeah, man, I'll take it. Like, that's awesome. And this was a topic that he sent yesterday to me before recording, the fundamental 5. All right, it is the 5 positions that are most critical for the success of your football team or organization in the NFL. Number 1, quarterback. Number 2, these are in no specific order, in my opinion, except the quarterback. Number 1, quarterback. Number 2, wide receiver. Number 3, offensive tackle. Number 4 is pass rusher. And number 5 is cornerback. That's not to say that the other positions on the football field are not important. I think a middle linebacker is super important. I think a 3 technique is very, very important. I think a tight end in Josh Heupel's offense outside of quarterback might be the most important position on the field. But for the majority of teams, the 5 positions that make or break an organization or a program: quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, pass rusher, and cornerback. Where does Tennessee stack up at those positions right now for the fall of 2023 and for the future? We're going to do that here in segments 1 and 2. So here in segment 1, we're going to start quarterbacks and wide receivers. Well, quarterbacks, give me a big old check. Yes, the numbers are a little bit down. You would like another scholarship quarterback in your room. But with Taven Jackson leaving the program, that left you 1 scholarship quarterback short. Tennessee's got 2 scholarship quarterbacks right now. And you feel good about Gaston Moore. I've mentioned that time in and time out. Is he a Power 5 quarterback at this level? No. But is he a guy that has got an arm, has got some pretty good intangibles, is going on his 4th year in the system with Josh Heupel? Remember, he was at UCF and followed Josh Heupel to Tennessee as a walk-on. The answer is yes. And so you feel good about the options at quarterback for Tennessee and Joe Milton, Nico Imaliava, and then Gaston Moore. And, of course, you have Navy Schuler as well on that roster. But why quarterback gets a check from me and regarding Tennessee is because you have a guy in Joe Milton who can step in and play right now, and you feel good about it. Is he as good as Hendon Hooker? No, he's not. He's had 2 starting gigs at 2 different Power 5 programs, and it hadn't panned out so far. Is there reason for concern? Absolutely, for the reason I just said a moment ago. But he's an old head. He's going on his 5th year in college. He's got all the physical attributes you could possibly want in a quarterback. He performed at a great level in the Orange Bowl to get Tennessee to 11 wins on this season. He's got a cannon of an arm, and he's smart. And now he is entering his 3rd season in the Josh Heupel offense. So he is so much better off now compared to where he was at this point in time, 2 years ago, right? Or 2 years ago, he wasn't even here yet, but those first couple of games of 2021. So you feel really good about your immediate option at quarterback right now. So that would be a check for me. What about looking to the future? You got Nico, right? And will Nico live up to the hype? Probably not. Why? And that's no disrespect to him, but the hype was so large. I feel so bad for Bronny James. He's never going to live up to the hype of being LeBron's son. Never, ever. And I'm not saying that this hype for Nico is equivalent to that of Bronny James. I think it's two different things, but the hype is real for Nico Iamaleava. Can he be a really good quarterback? I think so. Does he have the intangibles to do so? I think so. Does he have the build of a quarterback that's getting bigger? By the way, he's up 210 pounds coming in at $198. So, yes, he can. Does he have quick feet? Is he smart? All that type of stuff. Yes, yes, yes. But will he ever live up to the hype in the NIL era coming into Tennessee? Probably not. But can he still win you a whole lot of football games? And can he still be really, really good? And can he still be an NFL quarterback? And can he still be maybe a first-round draft pick one day? Yes, 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 and yes. So I think Tennessee at the quarterback position now and for the future, and maybe that crosses path a little bit. Maybe Joe Milton struggles, needs to be replaced, or maybe Joe Milton has his helmet pop off and Nico's got to go in, or maybe Joe Milton gets injured and Nico has to go in. But I think the quarterback position, that first pillar, Joe Milton now, Nico later, check, check. So quarterback position, you are good. The fundamental five, pillar number one, check. Number two is wide receiver. Check. I mean, yeah, check. Why? Because coming into the 2021 season, and again, a lot of this has to do with scheme and system. It does. System and scheme and good coaches and good players is the perfect combo. But coming into 2021, Tennessee had you felt good about Jalen Hyatt. You thought the possibilities of Velus Jones in this offense would be intriguing, but you didn't really have anything to go on, right? Remember, the wide receivers outside of Juwan Jennings for the 2019 seasons wasn't very impressive under the Jeremy Pruitt regime, right? Just what? But you turned Cedric Tillman into a 1,000-yard receiver. You turned Velus Jones into a third-round draft pick and a guy that caught almost 10 touchdowns and had over 800 yards receiving from the slot. You turned Jalen Hyatt into the Biletnikoff Award winner. You turned Brew McCoy into a steady Eddie on the other side. I don't care who's out there at wide receiver. In this system, with a quarterback that's capable of getting you the football, I like it. I like it a lot. But also, I like Brew McCoy. I like his makeup. I like Dante Thornton. I think he's going to be so good in this offense. I like Squirrel White when he gets opportunities from the slot. Ramel Keaton just not going away, right? He just continues to make play after make plays. So check. So wide receiver right now, check. What about in the future? Squirrel White will still be here. I like that. Nathan Leacock, I think, is going to be a guy that will really, really help Tennessee. He's already starting to turn some heads at spring practice. I like that. Let's see about Caleb Webb and Chaz Nimrod, if they can continue to get better and step up and kind of come into their own. But when you start with a guy like Squirrel White and when you bring in a guy like Nathan Leacock, check. So wide receiver now and wide receiver later, I would go check, check. So again, the fundamental five, the two pillars already. Quarterback, check. Now and in the future. Wide receiver, check. Now and in the future. And then we got three more to get to: the offensive tackle, the pass rusher, and the cornerback position. That is what we have to look forward to coming up next right here on Locked On Vols as we break down the fundamental five here of Tennessee football. Guys, I appreciate you listening and watching to us here on Locked On Vols. Big thank you to FanDuel Sportsbook. The tournament, March Madness, it is heating up. Final Four action. There is no better place to get in all that action than at FanDuel. That's America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That is $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from money line to point spreads to which teams will be cutting down the nets, all on the app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Don't miss your shot at no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, guys, welcome back into your Tuesday edition. It's Locked On Vols, your team every single day. I am Eric Kane. You can always find me on Twitter at _Kaner and at Locked On Vols. We're going to get into your mailbag questions and answers to the questions I prompted you with yesterday. That's coming up in segment number 3. But really feeling this subject, man. I love football so freaking much. I'm such a football junkie. I'm such a nerd when it comes to X's and O's and all that good stuff. So When I see a topic called the fundamental five, hell yeah, let's ride, right? We talked about the quarterback position, the wide receiver position. I think both of those pillars for the fundamental five for Tennessee now and in the future, check. 2 check marks. Let's go to offensive tackle. This is the first pillar that's not going to have a check mark. Going to be honest with you. Is Tennessee good enough right now in the immediate future to win games because of the offensive tackle? Maybe. I don't know yet. Tennessee had a first-round talent, Darnell Wright, there last year, and he was phenomenal. It's a huge loss. Huge loss. On the other side, you had 2 guys that pretty much split that left tackle position. Gerald Mincey, transfer coming over from Florida, and Jeremiah Crawford, J.J. Crawford, who was already here. Both of those guys, again, when we looked up the snap counts at Pro Football Focus, they were pretty much the same. I don't have it in front of me, but one was like 410. The other one was like, heading into the bowl game, one was like 410, and the other one was like 406. I mean, they were pretty much 50-50 in terms of splitting that left tackle position. Was that good enough? It was good enough, but could it have been a whole lot better? Absolutely. Case in point, neither one of them took the job and ran with it. So now you have those 2 guys. You bring in, you have Dane Davis, who is still here and played some big-time snaps for Tennessee in a fill-in role. And now you bring in John Campbell from Miami, who's a pretty good player. He's played pretty much every position outside of center over his career at Miami. Can Tennessee be good enough to win games with those offensive tackles this year? I think so. I do. But is it going to be as good as Darnell Wright was on the right side? Absolutely not. We're still early in spring right now. I don't know who John Campbell is. I don't know how quickly he can adapt to this offense. I don't know how quickly he can pick up some things in the different terminology and everything. I would assume that, he's going to be just A-okay, right? I mean, Tennessee's not going to go out and get a guy and sign a guy from the transfer portal if they don't think he can come in and help immediately, especially at that position. This isn't a future position. This is like now. So I think it'll be okay for now. You have experience. You have a ton of playing experience. You have some playing experience in this offense and 3 returners. So for now, I will have a check mark for the present. Will it be as good as last year? Probably not, but I will have a check mark for the present right now. But for the future, I have no clue. I think Dane Davis has another year. I think Jeremiah Crawford. I think the 3 guys here have another year, but when you look behind them, I mean, there's no offensive tackle depth right now. Brian Grant, class of 2023, or 2022, I guess. Yeah, 2022. He was a project-type player, very new to the game, still needs to come a long way in putting on weight. You bring in Sham Umarov of the class of 2023, and he's here, and he looks good. But again, he's brand new, right? I mean, we don't know what he can bring. We don't know what he can do right now. Tennessee was 1 for 4 on offensive tackles that won it for the class of 2023. And be glad you got Sham. Sham's a good player. I think that he will be a good player. We just don't know about it right now. But you missed out on Stanton Romel. You missed out on Francis. You missed out on some other guys. And in terms of the future at the offensive tackle position, I don't know. So that would be the X. So offensive tackle, maybe split it a little bit. Tennessee can win some games. Tennessee will still be a high potent offense and everything. It'll take a step down from the offensive tackle position where it was last year. But overall, I think right now it's okay. But for the future is a big time question mark. So I'm going to have an X on that pillar right now just because I don't know. 2 checks. That's the quarterback pillar. That's the wide receiver pillow. 1 X. That's the offensive tackle pillar right now. Let's go to pass rusher. You lose Byron Young. Big time loss. Good player. Real good player. Going to be drafted probably day 2 in the NFL draft. Really good player. But you bring back Roman Harrison, who is low-key. We'll talk about this here in a minute. Roman Harrison, low-key, sneaky, pretty good, pretty productive player for you last year. Played a whole lot of snaps. Rodney Garner loves to play a lot of defensive linemen. When you talk about the Leo position, sometimes multiple Leos, which is the position that Byron Young played, the pass rusher. Sometimes multiple Leos play on the field at the same time, especially in that Rabbits package, which means get after the quarterback. It's passing situations. Go, go, go. We called it NASCAR when I was at Carson Newman. NASCAR, go, 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 fast, fast, fast. It's when you have 4 defensive ends essentially on the field. You take out the 3 tech and the 1 tech, those defensive tackle bodies, you get defensive ends down there. And so, Roman Harrison's pretty low-key productive player for you. You've got Joshua Josephs, who got his toes wet, who played a role for Tennessee, who was long, who was lengthy, same thing. Needs to become more physical, sure. And then you got James Pierce, who didn't really play an awful lot last year, with the exception of mop-up duty, but he's had a pretty good spring. Rodney Garner even said so in a winter workout period. Rodney Garner even said so when he met with the media on Saturday. The buy-in. He's got to continue to buy in and do things the right way and, buy into the strength position and to the strength and conditioning program, buy into the classroom, all that type of stuff. But he's off to a good start this spring. But for the present, I think it's pretty solid. I really, really do. For the future, Joshua Josephs, James Pierce, Caleb Herring, who Rodney Garner spoke very highly of on Saturday. You're bringing in Shandavion Bradley as well. Check, check, check. So I like the position of the collection of pass rushers Tennessee has. They need to come in. They're highly regarded prospects. They need to come in and work. They need to get some real experience, what some of them have. And you need to develop a pass rush with only 4 up front, the first front 4, and you need to lead that charge. But Josh Heupel has made it a point to recruit quarterbacks, to prioritize the quarterback in every class and the pass rusher in every class. So far, he has done just that. In 2 classes as Tennessee's head coach, he has brought in James Pierce and Joshua Josephs, and now Caleb Herring and Shandavion Bradley. I think that pillar would be a big-time check, in my opinion. So far, we have 3 checks, 1 X, and we go to our 5th fundamental 5 pillar. Quarterback's a check, wide receiver's a check, offensive tackle's an X, pass rusher is a check, and now let's go to cornerback. Boy, oh boy, was it not good in 2023, right? I mean, there was just so many guys and no consistency, and Tennessee was next to last in the SEC in pass defense, and there was just not a whole lot of consistency at that position, but at times it was good. You guys have heard me say this so many times. I think Danico Slaughter is a player. Can he be a full-time player at cornerback this year, devoting an entire offseason, a spring practice, a fall camp, drill work, film work, all that type of stuff, and preparing himself to be a cornerback? And will that make a difference? Can he get even better? Because I think he was the best one Tennessee had last year. I really do. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in that regard. Kamal Hadden, can you find some consistency and shut up? Stop talking on the field and just play football. That is what aggravated Tennessee fans to no end. Brandon Turnage, can you get rid of the injury bug, right? Because I think you are a guy that can give this team some good snaps. Can you get rid of the injury bug? And Gabe Judy-Lally, what are you bringing to the table? You've been in the SEC before. You've been at BYU, but what are you bringing to Tennessee? And then some of this youth that's coming in right now, Ricky Gibson, Jordan Matthews, Christian Conner, I love that. Can you push these guys right now? Can you make them better? Can you take their spots? That's the challenge of spring practice right now. So in terms of this last pillar in cornerback, it's kind of the same pillar because I don't think there's a clear divide in terms of these guys are ready to play now and these guys will wait their turn and play next year and the year after that. I think it's fair game for everything. And it's kind of hard to grade this because I like the collection of talent that's there. Kamal Hadden could be better than anybody in the room if he could just find consistency. True story. But he's not done that, and he's too worried about running his mouth instead of playing. Danico Slaughter is a baller. I like Gabe Judy-Lally. I think he'll start this year. I like Ricky Gibson. I think he's low-key athletic that no one was talking about. I like Jordan Matthews because I think he's all around, maybe got the most impressive game of anybody in that room. I like the collection of talent. I need to see it, though. I need to see it. And it very well could, go out there and be a strong point for Tennessee in 2023. It really could. It's not far-fetched, guys. I think the cornerbacks can be better than the safeties. I do. I know that might not be saying much. It's probably what you're thinking, but I do. But for right now, I'm going to put an X on that pillar. I'm going to put an X, but I think that's close. I really do think it's close, again, because the collection of bodies in that room. So, for Tennessee, the 5 fundamental pillars. Quarterback, present, future, check, check. Wide receiver, present, future, check, check. Off the tackle, present, check. Future, X. Pass rusher, present, check. Future, check. Cornerback, present and future, because it's all one group, in my opinion. X for right now, but I think it's close. Those are the fundamental 5 pillars of success for the Tennessee Volunteers. That was a fun exercise, guys. Let's reevaluate this after spring practice over the summer and heading into the new year. What'd you think? Did you agree, disagree with anything I said? Let me know right here on Locked On Vols when we come back. Twitter Tuesday, questions and responses. That's coming up next right here on a Tuesday. I'll tell you what, I'm all jacked up, man. I love that topic. I'm serious. I want to hear from you. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Fill out those comments in the YouTube section. Fill out the YouTube. Let's think about this. Fill up the comments section on the YouTube page. There we go. Words are hard sometimes. Let's slow down. Take a breath. Let me know what you think. DM me. Tweet me @_Canner, @LockedOnVols. Do you agree with my fundamental 5? Quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, pass rusher, and cornerback. Let me know. That was a fun subject. We do it every single Tuesday right here on Locked On Vols. We open up the mailbag and let you guys ask me any questions that you may have. Also, yesterday I gave you a couple of questions to answer as well. We're going to get into those. Let's start over on Twitter @_Canner. We'll go to my bookmark section and we'll talk with Randy. Just curious about what percentage you would say of Vols athletes pay attention to what is written or said about them by local media on a regular basis. Does Olivier Cumwa or Aaron Beasley know what's being said about them when you're interviewing them in the locker room? For the most part, I would say that they've been coached up. They know, like if you are a Division I athlete, chances are you've had the spotlight on you your whole life. Now, there's a big difference in coming from whatever town you're from into the University of Tennessee when we go to the airport to interview recruits and we travel to baseball games sometimes. I mean, there's a big difference, but I think for the most part, they try not to pay attention too much with it, but absolutely they know 100%. Josiah Jordan-James even tweeted over the weekend, essentially like, hey, we saw what some of you guys said about the season was over. Look at us now, went to the Sweet 16. First of all, that was a stupid tweet by him. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have it in front of me, but essentially he said something like that. It's not like he was bashing anybody. He was just kind of saying, hey, we saw that. So yeah, 100%. I think that they know what's being said. They have Twitter accounts. They have social media. They have Instagram. They see things populated. They see things retweeted onto their timeline. Absolutely. Now, do I think they're sitting here spending time listening to Locked On Vols every single day? No. Not at all. Do some of their parents listen to Locked On Vols? Yeah, a couple that I know of for sure, and I think that's awesome. Thank you. And if you see me on campus or something, please say hello, because some of you have, and I think that's really, really cool. And I hope you respect the way I cover the team. But percentage-wise, I would say, do they see what's being said? Yeah, I would say probably 60-70%. Do they pay attention and dive in and read and listen to everything? No, I would say very, very small percentage. I hope that makes sense. Let's go to Orange Crab. Yikes, hold on. Here we go. This is to the question that I prompted. What Vols football player are you following this spring and why? Orange Crab 42 says, Cameron Seldon, if he is truly a Deebo Samuel type player, he could be a true game changer on an already dynamic offense, 100%. But I do want to caution everybody, and I mean, I covered his recruitment, so maybe I'm a victim of this as well. Placing those expectations, we were talking about the Nico expectations earlier, placing those type of expectations, Deebo Samuel, on Cam Seldon, that's a little unfair. And I'm not calling you out by any stretch of the imagination, because that is the comparison, and I've said it too. You got to come in and learn one position first and master it and feel good about it. And that's what he's doing at running back right now. And then throw him out there at a slot position and tailor some plays to get him the football. When can that happen? How quickly can that happen? I don't know. We'll see. But he is intriguing. He looks good with the other running backs. He is big. He's an athlete. He's got good feet. He's fast. Yeah, that's a really, really good one. Appreciate you chiming in and saying that. On that same question, which football player you watching this spring? Michael says, Roman Harrison. Think he could potentially make a Ramel Keaton type leap after losing BY on the defensive line. Yeah, I talked a little bit about Roman Harrison earlier, and for so long he looked like Tarzan, play like Jane, right? He looks so physically good. In terms of like what a body type you want in an edge rusher. He's not maybe as long as you want him to be, but still he looks like what you would think in an edge rusher. but he never did anything. Like, he would play so many snaps and he wouldn't do anything. But towards the end of last year, he started doing some things. He was actually SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week for the Vanderbilt week, the last week of the regular season, if my memory serves me correct. I believe he had 2 sacks against Vanderbilt. Maybe I've slept since then. Maybe I'm wrong. But he started to become a little bit more productive. Now, Ramel Keaton type leap, that's a little bit different. I would say it was more of a, maybe you could see more of a Theo Jackson type leap, because Theo Jackson played a lot for Tennessee and then he went off and he was an all-conference player. Roman Harrison's played a lot for Tennessee. He really has. He's played a lot of snaps for Tennessee over the years. But can he up his game and be an all-conference top player? That's the question we have to ask. But yeah, he'll get a ton of snaps. We know that for sure. Michael, appreciate you chiming in. Another one here from Corey in terms of who you follow in the spring. Besides Nico, looking forward to Ricky Gibson and Arian Carter. Jeremiah Thielander would also be a sleeper in my opinion. I agree. Jeremiah Thielander, well-spoken. He's already put on about 15 pounds since being here. Good-looking guy. I think he's going to be a good linebacker. Like, Arian Carter might steal all the headlines in terms of being the leader of that bunch at linebacker and on defense. Maybe the first one to play and to have a serious role. But I think Jeremiah Thielander is going to be a good player for sure. Ricky Gibson, you've heard great things about him so far. Low-key, sneaky athletic. Because all the talk at the cornerback position was like Jordan Matthews in terms of this class. I think Ricky Gibson, as you mentioned, is a guy that has gained the respect of a lot of people for sure. And then, of course, Arian Carter, as we mentioned, and Nico Iamaleava, they have done a good job. Or, I mean, obviously, they're going to get some headlines there. See, I can't do 2 things at once when I'm trying to go to my direct messages and read and talk at the same time. But yeah, Nico's going to get a lot of the headlines just because it's the quarterback, and it's Nico for sure. Let's go to Braden. Braden says, actually, we'll start with Taylor. Taylor chimed in and wanted to know what I thought about the weekend and recruitment of Jake Merklinger. I think Tennessee did a really, really good job. A really good job with Jake Merklinger this past weekend. I would say Tennessee's likely the team to beat at this point in time for sure. I think Jake Merklinger had a fun weekend and really liked Tennessee's coaches. So I think they did. I think they moved the needle well there, and we'll have to see exactly what happens with that recruitment. And we'll go to Braden here. Who is your quarterback comparison for Joe Milton if you had to give one? And what is the best case scenario for Hendon Hooker going into the NFL draft and his first year in the league? Let me start with Hendon. Dream scenario for Hendon Hooker, in my opinion, would be just like Trey Smith. A little bit different, but slip out of the first round, which I think that he will. Go to a contending team in the second or third round, which I think he'll be taken in the second round. But go to a good team. Go to a good team and sit back, hold a clipboard, learn, be a sponge. I understand he's 25 years old. I get it. But you don't have to just be rushed into starting right now. You just don't have to be, in my opinion. I've heard some NFL drafts, mocks, and experts and say like a really good pick for him would be by Seattle. You know, Geno Smith, NFL Comeback Player of the Year, just got signed to a nice deal. And to go and hold a clipboard and back up Geno Smith, I think that would be really good. What if he, was drafted to a team that has an established quarterback and was brought in to be the backup because he's super smart, but also get ready and go, and maybe you can be the quarterback of the future and or a trade piece. I don't know. We'll see. If you're being selected in the second round, you're probably not going to be a trade piece. I recognize that. But I think for Hendon, it would be go somewhere that has an established quarterback for now, watch, learn, get acclimated, and then when your time comes, go in there and ball out. That would be for me. As far as Joe Milton, maybe this is super lazy. And I recognize this, but I mean, we talk about it all the time. From a physical standpoint, who does Joe Milton resemble? I'll give you a couple seconds to think about it. It's Cam Newton. Now, will Joe Milton ever be NFL MVP? Probably not. Most people aren't, right? And most people who play in the NFL aren't NFL MVP. Most football players don't even get to the NFL. So I'm not sliding him when I say this. I'm not trying to say he'll be as good as Cam Newton, but from a physical makeup, from a standpoint, strong arm, 6'6", 240 to 50 pounds. He's lost weight. He's dropped about 10 pounds, mind you, as well, so that he could be more of a factor with his legs and escapability. But I would say Cam Newton because he's big, he's strong, he's got a cannon of an arm, he's a good leader, he's smart, and capable of changing the game. So I would say Cam Newton in that regards. Let's go to the YouTube page. Go to that comment section of yesterday's post, of yesterday's show. I asked the question, are you rooting for FAU? Low key. And Marcus says, yes, I am pulling for FAU. I don't know if they'll get past San Diego State, but it's going to be nice to get a non-blue blood champion. Some people don't think so. I recognize that, and I like what you say there, Marcus. Marcus is kind of cheered on FAU. Let's see here. We'll go to Noel. Noel says, I'm pulling for FAU also, and I do not think Julian Phillips was a bust at all. He had the injury and had a hard time getting healthy. Definitely not a bust. Vol fans are too negative sometimes. Laughing face. I would agree. I think Vol fans are definitely too negative sometimes. I don't think he was a bust either. I think from an offensive standpoint, there was a lot to be desired. I think that he can be much better offensively. But like I said yesterday, super good defender. He was consistent. He was starting in Tennessee's lineup, playing, around 15 minutes a game, every single game, right? He was super consistent. But Noel says she is rooting for FAU as well. And then Big Papa, 7152, said, nope, just kidding. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Big Papa, 7152, says, started watching ball baseball. Well, hey, cool. Good weekend to start watching Tennessee baseball because they looked really, really good against Texas A&M. All right, that's going to do it here for this edition of Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys for joining in the conversation, as you will, on Twitter, on YouTube. Let me know what you think about the fundamental 5 pillars for Tennessee football. Where is Tennessee at quarterback, wide receiver, off the tackle, pass rusher, quarterback now and for the future? I want to hear your thoughts. You heard mine. Tell me yours coming up on Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys sending in your mailbag questions and comments as well. As always, make Locked On College Basketball your second listen right behind right behind Locked On Vols. No better time right now. Final Four happening, NCAA tournament, Locked On College Basketball. Those guys do a fantastic job. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Subscribe anywhere you find your podcast. Rate me 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Leave me a positive review. You guys are the best. We'll do it again, same time, same place tomorrow. This is Locked On Vols.